Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Lucid. Apparently, the buyout rumors are fake news, says Fuzzy Panda Research. This is getting a little bit crazy, but even more suspicious. So the report emerged from Ben Harrenston, Betterville blog, which said that according to contacts, the Public Investment Fund is working with blank checks to acquire the remainder of the Lucid shares that it does not already own. However, the post has since been taken down. In my opinion, that makes it even far more suspicious. So shares of Lucid Group closed Friday sessions up 43%, although they closed Monday session down over 8%. On Wednesday, they closed around $11.89. After hours trading $11.98. So we're going to take a look at this further. We're also going to take a look at Yahoo's analyst opinions on the Lucid share and what's going on. I still believe in a buyout rumor. Now, as for Fuzzy Panda, their research, their organization, they are incentivized to keep the Lucid share cheap because they're shorting the shares. They want the price to go down. They don't want the price to go up right now. They want it to go down because they're shorting the share. So I don't really believe what they're saying because they're incentivized to make the share price go down. I mean, I think most of you will understand what I'm saying right here. So it seems extremely suspicious to me. But let's get into it even more. Now, the move lower came after a report from Fuzzy Panda Research which stated, sell Lucid. We believe buyout rumor is fake news. Came right after lockup expiration. By the way, these videos are not financial advice. It's just my opinion and it's for entertainment. But Fuzzy Panda said it's short Lucid share because the source of the Saudi public fund buyout rumor is fake news. But why is it fake news? You haven't given me a good reason. Okay, lockup expiration. But what else? The Saudi investment group, are they incentivized to take this company private? They are incentivized to take this company private. Why else would they be buying out the rest of the remaining shares? Fuzzy Panda Research, are they incentivized to keep the price down? Yes, because they're shorting the share. So they don't want the share to go up. In fact, they were upset when the share price was going up. Really suspicious right here. So a Betterville on-cook alert was widely cited as a source of the Lucid rumor that sent Lucid share price as high as $17.80. Fuzzy Panda also says, yet Betterville confidence in their own rumors must have been so low that they quickly removed the Lucid rumor from their website. That's even more suspicious. Why would you remove an article that's getting a lot of attention? Why would you remove an article that sends the share price up? So they're incentivized to take it down, where they might have been asked to take it down politely or non-politely. But Fuzzy Panda, they're very suspicious because they're incentivized to keep the share price down, and that's exactly what they're looking to do right now by calling it fake news. Here's what's even more interesting. The Saudi investment fund, they're also incentivized to keep the share price down because it means that they pay less money for the remaining shares. The higher it is, the more expensive it is. That certainly will draw a lot of attention. It'll make the share price even more expensive, just like it did. It went up almost 100%, which means that the Saudi investment group would have had to pay twice as much for the remaining shares just because the information leaked. So they're incentivized to keep it quiet. So perhaps they sent an email to Betterville just saying, we'll pay you a little bit of money if you just remove that article as soon as possible. Maybe we'll pay you 1 million, because 1 million for Saudi investment fund will probably save them a few billion for buying out Lucid. So 1 million, take down an article. I'm just throwing these ideas out, but I don't mind throwing these ideas out because they're not paying me, so I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it, but I can see something like that happening, seriously, because that's what I would do. That is literally what I would do. If I was trying to buy a company, I would want the share price to be as cheap as possible. And if someone put out a rumor that made the share price go up, I would pay them to shut the rumor down. So the share price goes back down. And guess what? Share price have gone back down. Yeah, they've dropped back down. So for the Saudi investment fund, instead of paying twice as much, they'll only pay around 50% more than they usually have to when the share price was dead cheap. So that's the first part to go in, but there is some Yahoo analyst information that I do want to go through. So let's check that out.
Welcome back. Ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street, let's hit a few hot tickers here. First up, Lucid on reports that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is working on plans to buy out the rest of the electric vehicle maker. And this stock has been a colossal disappointment since the company went public, down about 56% over the past year. And I think it comes at a time where, as we were talking about earlier in the show, guys, pricing under pressure for electric vehicle makers. And the promise for Lucid was that they could come out here and charge extremely high prices for its cars and then ultimately at some point turn profitable. That thesis is really being put to the test.
Well, they're going after a different type of buyer. I mean, this is on the ultra high-end luxury side of the EV market, play that Tesla had very early on. And what was that strategy? It was to say, at least for Tesla's entrance into the space, it was all about how do we make sure that these vehicles look and feel sexy? How do we make sure that the more affluent consumer out there sees it as something that's perhaps on a pedestal and bring the rest of the EV market with it? And who do you have at the helm of Lucid to begin that journey? You had Peter Rawlinson, who is one of the chief engineers of those very luxurious vehicles over at Tesla, bringing the same model over to Lucid. They had a record year, at least last year, in being able to produce 7,180 vehicles. So it's really just how do they compound on some of that production that they were able to showcase in 2022 and here in 2023, even as some of those more affluent consumers may be looking across the vehicle lineup that they have. Do you need a Lucid, or do you need something else that's going to be out there in the market, especially given the fact that Mercedes-Benz and their vehicles in the EQ class, that's going to also be hitting some roads this year too.
Yeah, and aside from the fundamentals of the company, now the question is, are the backers of the company going to step in and do some sort of financial engineering or buy it? So the report that came out on Friday, which caused the stock to spike as much as 98% before it closed up just 43%, was that the Saudi Public Investment Fund might be interested in buying all of the company. Now, this was highly speculative. The report sort of acknowledged that it was pretty speculative. It was in Betaville. It was a Betaville report that, again, sort of said this is just kind of chatter at this point. So that also kind of helps explain why the stock this morning is now, which was up a lot earlier, is now up something like 1%. So is it going to happen? If that doesn't happen, will something else happen that sort of supports the stock? It's unclear.
These cars, I've always thought the Lucids were just beautiful cars. But I can only imagine taking this to get this car serviced. One little thing wrong. Wow, that is a.
So key thing right there, they even mentioned Betaville. The question now is, why did Betaville take down this article? Why? And why have they said nothing since? Nothing. They've been completely silent. And so is everyone else. Everyone else is being suspiciously silent. And you know what? It makes me believe that there is something happening behind the scenes. There is something definitely happening. So for everyone who's calling fake news, if you smell something, most likely it is what you're smelling. You know exactly what I wanted to say. So even if we turn out to be wrong, that there isn't a buyout, it's obvious that there could have been. Maybe there was an idea for buyout. Maybe they canceled the idea. Maybe they stopped the idea. But just because we have an idea and we're suspicious doesn't mean that we're wrong. Doesn't mean that we're wrong to be curious and suspicious. These are suspicious circumstances, of course.
Time for a triple play. Three stocks that we're watching in the final 30 minutes of trading. We have Lucid, Exxon, and Peloton. Starting it off with Lucid, it's the top trending ticker on Yahoo Finance. Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas making the case that Lucid's stock is heading lower and that the fundamental outlook is, quote, more likely deteriorating than improving. One thing that has Jonas worried is Tesla's price cuts. He's saying that's because he thinks it could lead to a drop in Lucid reservation, extend beyond a controlling shareholder status, and that guidance and support from Saudi Arabia will, quote, potentially enhance Lucid's long-term infrastructure and supply chain development. Now, Ines, he does have an underweight rating on the stock, thinking it could fall substantially further than it is today. And of course, this is contrary to kind of the rally that we saw in Lucid following that report about the fact that Saudi Arabia could potentially buy out the remaining stake in Lucid. So I think there's big question marks out on the street just in terms of what this company is going to look like over the next couple of quarters.
Yeah, and how much they'll be able to produce going forward, but also that rally that you mentioned. I had reached out to an analyst that talked about the short interest on the stock that was over 20% short interest. So you were seeing a huge short squeeze with that headline. He said it's a really dangerous time to be in electric vehicle stocks right now.
It's all about the short squeeze. You hear that, ladies and gents. Listen, they want the price to go down. They want the price to stay cheap. That's the only way they can make their profits. So I don't really believe them. I'm going to stick with my gut feeling. My gut feeling is that something is happening. Something is happening, and it's most likely a buyout. But if we're wrong, it's not a big deal. The world keeps on spinning. Don't worry about it. But the chances that there is a buyout, or the chances that there's something going on, yeah, there's a high chance, a very, very high chance. So me personally, you're going to continue to see this sort of news, the driving the price down. They want it to go down because they're shorting it heavily. Not to mention, everyone within this deal, they want the price to go down so they make money. Either the people are shorting it, and the people are buying it. They want it to be cheap. A few retail investors actually want it to be worth something so they can possibly sell before the buyouts. But here's an even more interesting question that I opened up on the last video. Who the hell has enough money to double the share price? It's not us. It's not us. We're retail investors. We don't have $10-11 billion to double Lucid share price and their market cap. We don't have that. That's insane. So how are you going to tell me that there isn't rumors, this buyout rumor isn't legitimate? How are you going to tell me that it isn't merited? How are you going to tell me that it doesn't have merits? It does have merits. Clearly, someone's been investing heavily. And it's not retail investors, it's institutional investors. But why? So there's a lot of questions surrounding Lucid right now. And surprisingly, not a lot of reports about this. Isn't it odd? This is one of the more popular EV manufacturers. There's not a lot of reports on it. There is a few, but this is from 2 days ago, 1 day ago, 4 weeks ago, 4 days ago. There's not a lot of reports. Usually when you type in these EV companies, especially when there's rumors of a buyout, there's usually a lot of media attention. So, question is the media being paid off to shut up, to keep silent? I think they are. Yes, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with they're being paid to shut the hell up. And I might sound completely stupid, but it all started with Betterville. Why would they delete a big trending article? They invested all of that time writing it, and then like 20 minutes later, they're just like, the share price is going too high, so we're just going to remove this article. That doesn't make any sense at all. It's a complete opposite, in fact. If the article is doing great, you're not removing it, you're keeping it. So why are these outlets being silenced on Lucid? Why? They're being silenced. They are. It's obvious. It's really obvious. But listen, this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. I still think that the share price will continue to go down because that's the narrative. They want it to go down. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in our next video. Peace.